Thanks for tuning in today. You are listening to iPrevent Radio.
Warning, this is your brain on drugs. Okay, y'all, I'm not going to make you watch some corny video about how your brain is like loose noodles of spaghetti when you use substances. But since March is Brain Injury Awareness Month, I would like to talk about substance use and how it can affect or injure the brain. Stay tuned. So first, I'm going to discuss
bro, just go, bro, right now.
marijuana use.
Hold on, do it. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Wait.
A lot of us think that marijuana is a cure-all, be-all. We don't think it can do anything wrong. We've seen marijuana used for medicinal purposes, and people speak very highly of the herb. In 2016, the following percentages of young people reported using marijuana at least once in the past month. 5% of students in the 8th grade, 14% of students in the 10th grade, 23% of students in the 12th grade, and 22% of college students and young adults. In New Orleans specifically, 11% of 10th graders use marijuana and 18% of college-age students use marijuana. But research shows that marijuana can have negative effects on adolescent brains, including changes in the brain structure, including the size and how areas are connected, lower quality of brain connections, and less blood flow to parts of the brain, which all have the potential to cause damage to the brain functioning in youth. This is not ideal because adolescence is prime time for the brain to build connections needed to improve executive functioning, like decision-making skills, self-control, and creative thinking. Studies are still being done on marijuana use and its impact on the brain. Existing research does show that super high THC content that's available in edibles, vapes, and more cause similar effects on the brain as those harsher substances, such as psychosis. Psychosis is a severe mental disorder in which thought and emotions are so impaired that contact is lost with external reality. It may also lead to hallucinations and paranoia. All right, so what's next? Cocaine and crack cocaine. This white powder, or rock, is nothing to play with when it comes to the brain. So who uses it? Well, statistically, adults use it most. But apparently, about 1% of 8th graders, 3% of 10th graders, and about 4% of 12th graders have used cocaine in their lifetime, and even fewer have used crack cocaine. I'm glad it's only a small percentage, because its use can have the ability to damage the structure of the brain. It can damage the lining of the veins and arteries, which can lead to chronic headaches as blood flow to the brain is restricted, or cause blood clots, which can lead to a stroke. The drug also can cause seizures, either during binging or chronic use, or cause a seizure disorder to develop, which will require long-term treatment. Youth brain development is very important. It's all about the brain creating networks and building pathways that allow the brain to send messages throughout the body. Because of this, developing teen brains are more sensitive to cocaine than fully developed adult brains. When initially exposed to cocaine, the teenage brain tries to protect itself by altering the shape and sensitivity of cocaine's susceptible neurons. However, when these protective efforts fail, the intensity of the drug's effects increases by roughly 300%. Repeated cocaine use during teenage years triggers long-term damage in the brain and reduces the user's ability to learn and make behavioral changes after fear-based experiences. These brain changes increase chances for involvement in impulsive, risky behaviors during adulthood. Moving forward, let's talk about heroin. Like cocaine, the majority of individuals who use heroin are adults. But recently, there's been an increase in 18 to 24-year-olds using the substance. In New Orleans, 4% of 10th graders have admitted to using opiates in general. As you may know, heroin reduces pain, but the process of attaching to the brain and creating that feeling of relaxation ultimately damages the regular function of the brain. Consuming heroin affects the opioid receptors and the risk-reward system in the brain, which is a primary pathway that uses dopamine. The brain also increases how much dopamine, serotonin, and other neurotransmitters it produces because these are released artificially due to heroin use. Last, but certainly not least, we're talking about alcohol. So who uses alcohol? A lot of youth use alcohol. 23% of New Orleans youth by 10th grade have used alcohol. In fact, by 12th grade, nearly 60% of youth nationally have consumed it in their lifetime. That's more than all of the other substances we've talked about. Consuming and misusing are two different things, but needless to say, that statistic is alarming. Why is it alarming? Because we're talking about youth. Anyone who drinks under the age of 21 is considered binge drinking. It's even more alarming because at a young age, youth usually intake their alcohol in excessive portions, which is far more damaging than alcohol in moderation. People often glorify drinking till you sink, but reaching a blackout is not good at all. An alcohol blackout is a gap in a person's memory for events that took place while he or she was drinking. When a blackout happens, a person's brain does not create memories for these events as they are happening. Should this become habit, or an alcohol use disorder develop, studies show major degeneration in the youth brain. The hippocampus is a curved brain structure located in the cerebral hemisphere and is critical to learning new information and forming memories. Studies show that for youth with alcohol use disorder, this area of the brain actually gets smaller, possibly causing issues with memory early on. Whether or not your brain is like noodles when on drugs is up to you to believe. But I at least wanted to share with you the facts about substance use and the damage that it can cause to the youth brain, especially. This is prime time for us and for our brain development. Even though many of us have used one or more of these substances, it's good to know that it doesn't mean we are destined to lose our minds. Should we find that we struggle with these substances, we can use some resources. If you or someone you know is dealing with a crisis and fear using substances to cope, you can hit up the Teen Crisis text line at 504-777-3273. Also, Odyssey House, detox, and residential programs are available for those 18 and older. Call 504-418-4955 for a referral. All right, hope you learned something today. Signing off.
Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at iPrevent OHL and Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at iPrevent_OHL.
Signing off, but never stopping our work at iPrevent.
Thanks for listening to
iPrevent Radio. Don't forget to download our app. It's now available and free for Androids and iPhones. Just go to the Google Store or the App Store and search iPrevent OHL.